why legendary businesses are simple, the power of a professional chief operating officer, and why having bipolar disorder can be legendary. All right. Hey ho, let's go. Welcome to Legends and Losers, my friends. And man, am I ever glad that you joined us today. Off the top, I'd just like to reiterate, we are praying for everybody in the Caribbean, in Texas, in, of course, Florida, and the southern east coast of the United States, and everybody affected by this onslaught of hurricanes. And we're sending love, prayers, and we're sending more money. I don't know about you, but every time we turn on the TV or fire up our browsers and see those horrible images, it makes us want to try to do something. So if you're in a position to do something to help our fellow Americans, to help our fellow human beings, any of you spending time in the Caribbean, my wife Carrie's done some executive events in Anguilla, and I've been scuba diving in a bunch of the Caribbean countries, and it's horrible to see. Obviously, the images of Texas and Florida have been very hard to watch. So do what you can if you can. All right. Today we have an amazing guest, a guy that blew my mind, he sits right in the heart of our mission to hack the best minds of Silicon Valley. And in this case, he lives outside of Silicon Valley, and I think is one of the most important management and growth thinkers in our world today. And his name is Cameron Herold, and I'll tell you a little bit more about him in a second. If you're new to Legends and Losers, this is not your typical oddcast, haha. Our friend and guest on episode 54, security expert and former police officer Morgan Wright, was kind enough to give us a 5-star review on iTunes. And he said, quote, "Finally, a long-form, freewheeling, multi-path stream of consciousness podcast." So thank you for that, Morgan. Very much appreciated. And if you're new to Legends and Losers, that's what's going to happen today. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends Jessica and Scott Athan. We've been having some fun trading emails on Facebook and so forth. And if you're a longtime listener, you know that we get a big kick out of certain words. And one of them is liquor. I don't know why that word is funny to me, but it's just funny. And there's some words around, libations is a fun word. Tavern is a great word. I like saloon. And I grew up in Montreal, Canada, and we have these things in Montreal called brasseries. And they were kind of working class beer joints. And for years, they didn't allow women at them. So there was kind of working guys would go after work, have a beer and that kind of thing. And what happened over time was, of course, they changed the law so that the brasseries had to welcome women. And in Quebec, I don't know if this is still the case, but in Quebec, you knew you were going to a quote unquote legit brasserie when there was a sign outside it that said "Bienvenue aux dames," which translates to women welcome. And I think if you're going into a bar where they have to put up a sign that says "Women welcome," you know how sometimes the unspoken is louder than the spoken? I think that tells you all you need. Anyway, fun words around alcohol. So Scott and Jessica, they're the ones who had this great photo taken of themselves and their daughters with Legends and Losers t-shirts in front of this small chain of booze retailers called the Liquor Barn. And those two words together don't fit in my head. And I just find that really, really funny. And so Scott and Jessica took this awesome picture. You can see it on our Facebook group. Anyway, they were kind enough to get me this t-shirt. And if you're on YouTube, you can see it. It says "Drink Legendary, the Liquor Barn." There's a picture of a caricature of a guy drinking. And it says "Drink Legendary, the Liquor Barn." And I have a feeling, because it's a custom link, I think is the name of the company on the tag. So I have a feeling there's a good chance that Scott and Jessica actually custom made this t-shirt. And however you did it, however you got it, Scott and Jessica, here's to you, and here's to the Liquor Barn, and here's to all companies with the name either liquor or barn in their name. I know there's a company called Dress Barn. And ladies, I'm sure If you know anything about the dress barn, I know nothing about the dress barn. I'm as curious about the dress barn as I am the liquor barn. So if you have a dress barn story that you want to share, please email it to us at blackhole@legendsandlosers.com, and we will share your dress barn story on a coming up episode. All right, on October 21st and 22nd, I will be in beautiful Sacramento, California for the annual West Coast One Life Fully Lived event, where we will help you dream, plan, and live your best life. I'll be there with the founder of One Life, Tim Rode, Brian Rocha, the executive director of One Life, and so many great speakers, including my mentor and good friend Bix Bixen will be live at One Life Fully Lives October Lives. One Life Fully Lived October event. So check it out, onelifefullylive.org, and come see us. All right. For today's awesome guest, I need to shout out to Brooke Craven. I believe she's a marketing and PR expert or marketing and PR person, and she, as part of her work, she books folks on podcasts. And so she reached out to me and made the introduction to Cameron. And look, we get asked a lot, actually, more than I ever would have anticipated, people trying to get on Legends and Losers, which is very, very cool. And for the most part, most of the folks who try to break onto the show are not really a good fit. But every once in a while, we get contacted by someone like Brooke who's got somebody perfect. And Cameron is amazing. Sometimes I feel like I'm swimming in a sea of business coaches and leadership guru bullshit. And as our friend and guest, the legendary extreme athlete Eric Weinmeier says, the world doesn't need more bullshit. And in a world of wannabe leadership experts, wannabe CEO gurus, Cameron Herold really stands alone. He's an entrepreneur. He's a COO, and we're going to talk about the power of a real chief operating officer as distinct from just somebody with the title who's kind of the CEO in waiting. He helped build the legendary company that I think is so fun because they design and now dominate a category. I think they call it junk removal? I think they call it junk removal. The company's called 1-800-GOT-JUNK. And if you can innovate and do category design in junk hauling and build an amazing company as Cameron and the team there did, you can do it in almost any category. Cameron is a no-shit superstar, legit business coach. He's known as the CEO Whisperer. He's a great speaker. He's written a bunch of awesome books, including a book called Double Double, How to Double Your Revenue and Profit in 3 Years or Less. Meetings Suck, turning one of the most loathed elements of business into one of the most valuable. And he co-authored with my buddy Hal Elrod, The Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs. Cameron has been on CNBC, CNN. He's been in Fast Company, Inc. Magazine, Washington Post, Business Insider, and Time Magazine. And here's Cameron on Legends and Losers. So Cameron, what makes a great COO?
I think first and foremost, it's somebody who really wants to help make the CEO iconic. You know, they realize that they are the yin and yang to the CEO. It's about the entrepreneur's vision. It's not their own. So it's someone who truly wakes up in the morning wanting to make the CEO iconic and really wanting to help reverse engineer their dreams versus someone who's trying to get to the CEO role someday.
Now, that's an interesting comment for you to make, because I think in my experience, there are two types of COOs. There's one that is in the vein that you're talking about, that is truly views herself as the partner to the chief executive and is really the operator, so to speak, almost like a chief of staff, right?
Yeah.
But at least in my world, growing up in the tech industry, that's not what most COOs in my experience are. Maybe it's some of the bigger tech companies, but it's sort of the hyper growth earlier stage or even mid stage, or even, even at $1 billion. Most of the COOs that I seem to see, and this is my impression, I don't have data, but it's really the CEO in waiting job. And so tell me why you think that like being a COO is actually a profession as opposed to, no, I just hang out here. Everybody makes sure I'm not an asshole. And then when the old man kicks off, I get the prize.
Well, I think it was kind of like what makes a great COO, because I think what truly does make the great one is to know what their role is and to stick in that lane, right? Versus trying to, it's like the football player who's playing in some specialized role, and he just understands he's not supposed to play on the defensive line as well, right? He's got a role and they play it, or like a Navy SEAL, they know exactly what their role is. And I think that's what truly makes them great. Sheryl Sandberg is not out looking for a CEO role. She's clearly playing a fantastic second to Mark. And
do you think she views herself as a, if you will, professional COO?
I think so. That would be my gut right now. I haven't asked her, but she's on my list to actually want to talk to a couple of COOs and kind of get some insights from them.
Because, I wonder, as a former CMO, my sense is CMO is a job that people aspire to, and it's a job they sort of understand early in their life or career, just like CEO, just like CFO, just like, today often we call them now CPOs, Chief Product Officer, or whoever runs R&D or builds the carbodimulators. That's a chief engineering job. These are jobs that, young people can understand pretty quickly, and they're jobs that get celebrated and have seeming career paths. But interestingly enough, there isn't like a COO path, really. There isn't there's no like COO training at Stanford, or did I miss that?
No, you didn't miss it. That's actually why I started the COO Alliance, was there was nowhere for the second in commands to actually network and learn and mastermind together. So one of the things that I encountered, we did a lot of personality profiling on the whole membership of the COO Alliance with their CEOs and the COOs. And we did a personality profile using the Colby profile. And their profiles were completely different. The CEOs were very entrepreneurial quick starts, and the COOs were very high fact finders and follow throughs. So they would ask lots of questions and put lots of systems in place, and they just see the world from a very different lens. I've always said I've never had a unique idea in my life, but I can always reverse engineer dreams. I've played the second in command so many times in different companies that when the entrepreneur tells me where they want to go, I'm like, oh, I get it. Move out of the way. Let me make this happen now. Because they're so scattered with, all the ideas, and they need to be, and they're high visionary. They're often very bipolar and very ADD. COOs tend to be very operational and very linear and very much reverse engineering. And then Harvard wrote.
Are you saying that you know how to read a spreadsheet, Cameron? Is that what you're telling me?
I can't read a spreadsheet. No, I'm probably more entrepreneurial.
Oh, you cannot?
No, I have a thing called dyscalculia. So I
what?
Called it's a form of dyslexia where you transpose.
Oh, I thought maybe it was something genitalia that you were going to bring up. Sorry. Sometimes my inner monologue just goes external.
Right, it just runs, right?
Okay, so you have some variant of dyslexia. Is that what it is?
It's dyscalculia, and it's where I transpose numbers. So I flip, when I write down, if you gave me a phone number, I would always write it down wrong, or a credit card number, I'd write it down wrong. So I tend to flip numbers. And then I've never.
Do you actually? So I'm dyslexic, and I don't know. Maybe I have this too. For the love of Jesus, because I can't deal with numbers at all. Like, for example, if you and I were on a conference call, and I hate those fucking conference call companies where you have to dial a number and then you have to type in more codes than the president needs to launch a nuclear war to get into the fucking call.
You have to write it down. I can't remember 6-7 numbers. There's no way.
Well, exactly. But I can't even, the likelihood of me taking that from the email and writing it down and then having that be right and then getting it from the paper to the phone when I type it in, there is a 0 chance this is going to go right.
That's exactly dyscalculia.
Okay, great. Excellent. So I got one of those too. So, but how does, but I'm one of those quote unquote creative types. You being an ops guy, how does that work for an ops guy?
I was actually group as well. I was always kind of a second in command. My first business, I was 21 and I had 12 full-time employees, but I was a franchisee. So I didn't have the idea. I took a franchise concept, College Pro Painters, and I really ran that for them. So I just followed the systems, and I learned how to reverse engineer things quickly. So I think
do you think having that sort of, because I know for me, as a dyslexic, and they tell me this is dyslexia. Of course, I only have my own brain as a reference point, but that we're able to do pattern recognition, pattern matching, dot connecting in creative, non-linear, sort of expected ways. That's a trait of being dyslexic. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
It is, yeah, exactly. And I also got trained in this concept of reverse engineering, that if I can see where the future is, then I can reverse the delta between the current state and future state. So I try to get people to set a really solid goal, and then we can reverse engineer it, or know where the vision of their company is 3 years from now and reverse engineer that. And those are the things that we work with COOs on.
So I know you talk a lot about vision, and at least from consuming a bunch of your content, my experience of what you're talking about when you say vision and what I think most people are talking about when they say vision is that they're actually two pretty different things. And so if I could, in that vein, go back to at the beginning, I think of your last paragraph or so, you said something, Cameron, like you want people to kind of stand in the future, and then what did you say? Engineer it, or what was that?
Reverse engineer the future.
And so say more about that.
Sure. So what I do, and this is something I learned from an Olympic coach around 23 years ago. He talked to us about how high performance athletes visualize themselves in the future state, and they run the future state through their mind so often that they can act completely on instinct. And in the business world, that would be like a contractor who gets the homeowner to give them a vision of the home, pictures and drawings and sketches. The homeowner is really the CEO of the home building project. And then the contractor can take the visions, the pictures, drawings, and sketches, and can do blueprints, the plans to make the dream come true. And then they can hand the plans to the employees, and the employees can reverse engineer it without ever having to talk to the owner. In the business world, what I call the vivid vision is getting the CEO or the entrepreneur to lean out 3 years, only 3 years, to December 31st, 3 years from now, and describe what every aspect of their company looks like as if they're standing in their office looking around. They describe marketing, IT, product, engineering, finance. They describe 3 or 4 bullet points describing each area of their org chart. And then they describe what the customer is saying about them, what the media is writing about them, what their employees are saying, what the culture and energy is like. And they describe it not as if how they're going to make it happen, but almost like Back to the Future. They're there. They don't know how it happened, but they can see it. Then when you take that forward.
So I hate to interrupt you, Cameron, but would you characterize this as a visualization exercise? Is that?
It starts as a visualization exercise and mind mapping, and then it ends up as a 4 or 5 page written document describing the entire company.
So you have this document for yourself on your website, right? That's what that is, right?
And I share it with the world. So
I read the fucking thing. I want to ask you about Antarctica. I'm curious about why you want to go there, but that we can follow that zebra in a second. But so that's you taking your vision for yourself a few years out and actually just putting it on the web so that we can read it.
And I share it with everyone I do in any of my speaking events.
It's kind of corny though, isn't it?
No, it's actually because it's the vision I see, and when everyone else can see it, they conspire to make certain sentences of it come true.
So you're co-opting the world to conspire with you to make Cameron Herold the Cameron Herold he wants to be 3 years from now? Is that what you're telling me?
In a way, it's kind of like it's where the alignment really happens. If you think in a company, why are we trying to hold people accountable? When we can hire people that are really smart and show them where we're going, they'll make decisions aligned with what we can see. But if they don't know where we're going, then they're not aligned at all.
It's so funny because I always thought that anybody who needs to be held accountable,
they're the wrong people.
Is either you're retarded or they're retarded. Like somebody's got this wrong.
Exactly. It drives me crazy. Business is so simple, but we overcome it. We don't show people where we're going. And that's the whole concept of the vivid vision. If everyone can see what the entrepreneur can see, then they all have the same instinct.
Now, and actually that ties to category design, because when you create a powerful point of view that articulates the problem and therefore the solution in a new and provocative way, that becomes true north, right? And so in a lot of ways, a point of view is the category design execution of what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. In that particular area of the business, yeah. Now also, what about the way that we read our numbers and the pulse that we run the business on, or the energy that we want to feel when we come into the office space? All of that can be reverse engineered. You can reverse engineer a feeling. if you talk about creating a dinner party and you want to have a fun energy, well, then that determines what the music is going to be like and what the drink is going to be that you hand people at the front door and how you're going to seat people at the table. All of a sudden, you can start reverse engineering stuff that some people seem to do naturally and other people just haven't got a clue. And what's happening now is most people have a one-sentence vision statement and they expect that to align everybody, and it's just not enough.
Yeah. You talk about engineering and experience in that way. When I was the head of marketing for this internet consulting business called Scient back in the heyday of the boom, we had this building in San Francisco that was our headquarters, and the office space was such that there was a long, narrow hallway when you got off the elevator. And we didn't know what to do with that hallway. And so we came up with the idea. One of our expressions internally was "we're on fire." It was kind of like a chant, get everybody pumped up kind of a thing. And so what we did was we lined both sides of this long hallway with, regulation fire extinguishers.
Okay.
And so people would walk down this long hall of fire extinguishers going, what the fuck's going on with all these fire extinguishers? And of course, what I didn't realize in the beginning was we didn't arm the receptionist with what to answer. So when we first did this, after the first couple of days, she said to me, "Chris, what do I say to people? Everybody keeps asking me what these things are for," right? Because it was obviously creating a tone. And so to finish the tone, I said, "Well, you just tell everybody that the San Francisco fire marshal came to us and said that our company was so on fire, we had to have them all here."
That's awesome. There you go.
Yeah. So the other thing about, what you're really doing is trying to ground people as vividly as possible in the future they want to create.
Well, so I use an example. When I do speaking events, I talk about a movie called The Sound of Music. And there's this really famous scene where they're up in the hills in the Alps and they're singing and dancing.
You mean the hills that are alive?
Right. So if you've seen the movie, you get it. But if you've never seen the movie, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Who the fuck has not seen The Sound of Music?
You'd be surprised.
In the Western English-speaking world, who the fuck has not seen The Sound of Music?
You'd be surprised.
Really?
Yeah.
Most people what?
When you kind of come down in the age groups, they haven't seen it. And yes, outside of the Western Hemisphere, no one in Germany has ever seen the movie. It's like a complete crickets when you ask an audience. It's really weird.
Well, I think it should be required viewing at all schools.
It's amazing. I love it.
And actually, my nephew was just in the play. And interestingly enough, to my surprise here in Everybody Gets a Cookie and Nobody Gets Offended, California, he was one of the roles he played was he was a soldier.
Yeah.
And he had a uniform costume with a swastika on its arm.
Wow.
And they had to sort of warn people ahead of time, hey, just so you know, you're going to see this. But, that's what the movie and that's what the play is about. But I would have figured by now we would have washed that shit out. But even here in hypersensitive California, at least they still got to represent what really went down.
Well, I heard a comment the other day about whatever the movie is that's out currently about World War I, and there was a comment made in the media about why aren't there more women soldiers in the movie? And the comment back was like, well, we're not going to rewrite history. Like there weren't women soldiers in World War I. We can't just make it like people.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, although, and this is a complete digression, but I'm always amazed at what decisions the movie makers make and don't make. And the one that pisses me off the most for the last several years is we now know, of course, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that there's a straight DNA line from the dinosaur to birds, and specifically T-Rexes to chickens. And so when they did the latest Jurassic Park movies, there's not a paleontologist in the world that believes that dinosaurs didn't have feathers. And so the guys who were the paleontologist, advisors or whatever you want to call them to the movie were asked, like, hey, what the fuck? And the excuse they gave was that they just wanted to have continuity with the prior movies, right? But if you Google around for it, you could see there's a lot of people in that world that thought it was complete bullshit, that they weren't accurately depicting what they looked like.
And this, by the way, is ADD gone wild for you and I, right? We just go all the way down the rabbit hole, and we can.
Oh yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. It just and if you see other rabbits or giraffes or naked ladies or whatever it is that we could.
So that ties back in. Believe it or not, we could tie that back into the vivid vision. If everyone in the company is not crystal clear on what the company looks like in 3 years, they go down these different rabbit holes, not on purpose. But they're going with the best guess that they think the company might look like, and it might be different from what the CEO wants.
Yeah.
Core values is one component, BHAG is one component, your vivid vision is another component.
Yeah, it makes sense. And this is a connected digression, but over the last couple of years, I've been trying to educate myself as much as possible, Cameron, in neurology and neuroplasty. For my own benefit. I have a neurological condition and I'm fine, but I really want to get all over it, and I'm trying to get all over it. Anyway, I can't remember where I consumed this, so I'm sorry not to acknowledge source, but this is not my idea. I either read it or it was in a podcast or a TED Talk or something. But apparently, we can fool our brain, our neurology, into thinking things are real. And when we think things are real, we act in accordance with that reality. And so the simple example of this is everybody's been to a movie and felt scared or cried or felt love or felt humiliated or whatever emotion is being characterized in the film, because we put ourselves in the movie, and you sort of sit there and go, I'm watching a movie and I'm fucking crying.
Right.
Or, I can remember my dad and I watching Braveheart one time in Tahoe, drinking scotch, and we wanted to paint our faces blue and invade Reno.
Yeah.
But the point from a neurological point of view is, even though intellectually we understand that there's no reason to be crying, we're crying.
The quantum mechanics, you can't change it. You can't change it.
And so our neurological systems can't delineate between an actual thing that happened and something that we think happened, so to speak. Is that?
And that's the
power. Am I reaching too far here?
That's exactly the power. And that's this neurologist, the sports psychologist that worked with athletes in the Olympics, was if they could feel themselves performing the event, they could actually perform almost on instinct. In the business world, if everyone can see the movie, they can all move towards it and make decisions in alignment. Typically what happens is the entrepreneur can see stuff and he's like, why isn't everybody getting it? Well, because you're the only one that sees the damn movie and you gave them one sentence vision statement.
Yeah.
Well, if you give them the whole picture of your company, and if you go too far out, like 5-10 years, it's too far out. But 3 years, there's enough good tension that it gets them completely aligned and excited. And then if you share it with your suppliers, your customers, your employees, your potential employees, like I've had people land bank facilities because the banker says, I finally get it. Like I finally see what you're doing. I get it. Or potential employees will be like, oh my God, I want to be a part of this. Even though I know I'm buying into 3 years out, I'll join you today.
The thing that's so interesting about this dialogue to me, I mean, there's many, but the one that's right in my head now, Cameron, is as executives, as entrepreneurs, we get paid to create the future of our choosing. That's really what we get paid to do, right? And so, yes, we get paid to keep the trains running on time, of course. So the trains have to run on time today, but that's a given. Right. We're expected. That's like, okay, I got up this morning, I took a poop, I got in the car, I drove to the office, right? Yeah. The day-to-day mechanics of operating the business are a given. We're supposed to do that, but then really create this intended future for ourselves. And so we're getting paid to make the future reality come true. But interestingly enough, we very rarely have this conversation in business.
Yeah, well, most people don't even have it in their families. What's your family going to look like 3 years from now? And are you working towards that? Or what's your personal self going to look like? I have a personal vivid vision that I read that describes me 3 years from now, that I read, and I read it daily.
As a side note, have you read my buddy Hal Elrod's book, The Miracle Morning?
Hal and I co-authored The Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs together.
What?
We co-authored The Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs. It came out 6 months ago.
How the fuck did I not know that? Yeah. I'm a moron.
No, you're not. You just got to keep up. Yeah, I've written 3 books now, Double, Meeting Stuck, and The Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs. With Hal.
I got the first two. I actually consumed the summaries of both of them, but somehow I missed that. Holy fuck, that's awesome.
Yeah. And The section that I put in, I actually covered Vivid Vision in the Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs as well. And this section that I covered on it takes it to another level. It's a different level than I took it to in Double Double.
Well, I won't introduce you to Hal Elrod then.
Yeah, Hal and I met, we met 3 years ago at a group called the Genius Network that I'm a part of. And then we also hung out a bunch.
Oh, that's why I've never been invited then.
Another one called Mastermind Talks. Yeah, great guy. How do you know Hal?
So I met him several years ago through my dear friend and adopted brother, Tim Rode. Tim is an incredibly successful real estate guy. And when he retired, he created a nonprofit called One Life Fully Lived. I just helped raise $100,000 for One Life Fully Lived. I donated 2 spots in the COO Alliance and 2 on-site strategic planning days for One Life. Oh, God bless you, Cameron.
We just sent Hal a big check as well because some of the money was for Hal.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's where I met Hal, and I met the whole, his, if you will, whole universe, Berghoff and Vroman and
good people.
Scott Lowry and Rulin. Actually, all those guys have been on Legends and Losers.
John Rulin and I met 10 years ago in Las Vegas.
That is so cool.
Yeah, great people.
I got to believe Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs is on fire.
Taking off. Yeah, it's really...
Okay, so educate me about what's in the damn book. I did my homework on Double Double and what was the other one, for the love of Jesus? Meetings Suck. Great title. So tell me about Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs.
Sure. So Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs, the first half is really Hal's core content on the Morning Savers and the Miracle Morning concepts. Mine is kind of the rest of the day. And then I also got 10 entrepreneurs to share their stories with us. I got Lewis Howes to write the foreword for it. And then I got 10 amazing entrepreneurs to share their morning routines as well. And then the kind of content that I put in, one section is related to the Vivid Vision. One is related to the rest of your day's personal focus habits. And then the third is related to hiring a second in command and really creating that true yin and yang relationship with the COO.
That's outstanding. I'm going to have to get my hands on it immediately.
Yeah.
What a great fucking idea for a book, Cameron. Outstanding. That
was meant only for entrepreneurs. The book Meetings Suck is the one that people are buying for all their employees. And that one's meant for every employee at every company so they can stop bitching about meetings. I'm just tired of people saying meetings suck when they just don't know how to run them.
Yeah, and it's funny, not to throw MBA schools under the bus, but what the hell? Why don't we get taught how to run a meeting in school?
Because most of the people teaching MBAs have never actually run businesses.
Like simple shit like, hey, I ain't going if there's no agenda.
No agenda, no attenda. Right?
I love that.
I wrote Meetings Suck. One of my clients, he just raised $255 million from Warburg Pincus, and they were talking about meetings and how meetings suck. I'm like, you know what? You've never been trained, have you? He goes, nope. I said, have any of your employees had any training on meetings? I go, nope. I go, then meetings don't suck. You suck. I said, you would never send a 7-year-old off to Little League Baseball without teaching him how to hold a ball or catch a ball or hold a bat, because you wouldn't set him up for embarrassment. And if you sent your kid off to Little League, he'd say Little League sucks or baseball sucks because he doesn't know how to do it. So you teach him. So Meetings Suck was like 30% is how to run meetings, 30% is how to attend and participate and just show up at meetings, and then 30% is what meetings you need to run. Yeah,
how about the no fucking iPhone rule in the meeting, right?
Like my whole thing is, look,
people can't do that though. I mean,
no, they can't.
What percentage of people today are on the fucking something when they're in the meeting?
So my rule, and all the companies that I coach and mentor and talk to, is you check your phone at the door. If you're not willing to do that, it's okay. It means you have other important shit to do. Just don't come to the meeting. But you can't do two things. You can't go skiing and play golf at the same time. Pick one. You can't be on your iPhone.
Didn't we get sold a bunch of bullshit with this whole multitasking thing?
Well, multitasking, we did. You can't actually do two things at the same time. There's data behind it.
I can't remember now. I'm having a lot of memory problems today. There was a book out that talked about this, and I remember the exercise in the book that the guy says, just go ahead next time you're out at dinner, and when you go to pay the bill, and you give him your credit card and it comes back and you're about to calculate the tip, try to calculate the tip while continuing to follow the conversation.
Impossible.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've read where there's been studies that say that when we get interrupted, let's say we're working on something and you hear that bing, there's an email, right? And you go see who that email is. It takes up to 15 minutes to kind of get our consciousness back to whatever the thing was that we were on before the bing.
Yeah.
And so we were sold this fallacy that we could multitask. And so therefore we could be in the meeting and not be in the meeting. But it's just bullshit.
Yeah. So what we need to do is teach people to run the meetings faster, run them shorter, control the agenda, only show up for the parts of the agenda that you want to be there for, lay out in advance how many minutes are in each agenda item so people know what to show up for and what not to. And then if you can't dedicate your complete time for that period, go do your other work. It's okay.
And
you have other important stuff.
Underscore what you think about start and stop times.
Well, you have to start on time. It's like you and I. We had a call set for today. We were both there exactly on time. My rule of thumb is if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. It's like if you're an Olympic swimmer, an Olympic runner, and the gun's going off at 11 o'clock for your swim race, you don't come showing up at 11 going, hey, I'm here. Like the gun's going off. You're dead. You won't even have time to get on the starting blocks. So you have to show up a few minutes early.
You want to know the craziest thing about that? The only way I can do this, Cameron, is I have to trick myself. So all my watches and the clocks, in the car, all that stuff, 10 minutes ahead.
Yeah. So
every single one of them.
That's one thing to do, right? Is to trick yourselves to do it. But the other thing is the reason people tend to show up late is because we book everything back to back. So if we have a meeting that goes from 10 until 11 and a phone call from 11 till 11:15, if we're at 10 o'clock, okay, yada, yada, yada. Oh, it's 11 o'clock. I got to go. You go running down the hall. You go, sorry, I'm late. Well, you're not sorry you're late. You just didn't plan your time properly because there's no fucking way you can finish at 11 and start at 11, 4 doors away. So what you have to do is finish everything 5 minutes prior to the scheduled end time. You stop at 11, you finish at 10:55. If your phone call finishes at 10:20, you finish at 10:15, and you tell the person at the beginning, we finish everything 5 minutes early. That way we can live our core values and respect the individual and show up on time.
It's so great. The other thing I wonder too is like a lot of this is also cultural, right? So if the CEO is always 10 minutes late, then it's okay for everybody else to be 10 minutes late.
So you change the culture, speed of the leader, speed of the group. If the company, if you want to build a truly great organization, you want to build a truly solid organization, then you start at the top. And most great leaders aren't late.
Isn't that interesting?
The poor ones are.
Yeah, and it also it's really a fuck you too, isn't it? Like if I'm 10 minutes late for the meeting, what I'm really saying is my time's more important than yours, and you can all fucking sit there and wait for me because I'm a super ding dong and you're not. And doesn't it have all those connotations, or am I being too grumpy?
No, I actually say that in my, I think I say it in the book. I know I say it for sure in all my speaking events, but I say when you come into a group and say, sorry, I'm late, what you're really saying is I'm disrespectful. My time's more valuable. F you. I teach my kids this as well. You can't come back in saying, sorry, I didn't take out the garbage. What you're really saying is I don't respect you, Dad. Like, sorry doesn't actually let you off the hook. Doing what you're supposed to do is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I remember early in my life, an amazing mentor of mine, a guy named Bixen, who was kind enough to come on Legends and Losers.
You did stuff with Starbucks.
Do you know Bix?
I talked to Bix and wrote a picture because my mentor was being groomed as a COO. I talked to Bix 15 years ago when he was helping to lead some stuff at Starbucks.
Now, do you live in Vancouver, Cameron?
I've lived in Vancouver and Scottsdale, Arizona, but I've been in Vancouver for 20 years.
Yeah. Well, so Bix is in Vancouver.
Yeah. I was the chief operating officer for 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
I absolutely know that. And I'm dying to talk to you about it. It's one of my favorite entrepreneurial companies of all time.
Yeah. So I met Bix and his partner wrote a picture back in probably 2003. I was actually going to bring them in to help lead some change at 1-800-GOT-JUNK. My mentor, Greg Johnson, who was the senior guy at Starbucks, introduced me. So what were you going to say about Bix?
So what I was going to say is one of the things he taught me when I was about 18 or so was really the only math equation I can still do, which is results do not equal no results plus an excuse. And what I've learned over time is because that rings in my head all the time. And what I've learned over time is you know you're getting somewhere with yourself on this topic when your tolerance for the bullshit of your excuse begins to wane. That is to say, you don't even give a shit what bullshit you tell yourself about why you didn't get the fucking shit done.
Yeah, and that's when you know it's a huge cultural disconnect in the company, and that shit has to stop. We ranked as the number 2 company in all of Canada to work for, but it's because we lived our core values. We fired people who broke them. We hired people who already lived them. We aligned everybody with purpose, and we delivered what we promised. It's God and grandmother shit.
I love it. So you really think you're late for a meeting, you're an asshole, period, end of discussion.
Yeah, because you're being selfish with your time. It's so simple. Like, set your alarm on your phone. God gave us these devices now, or someone did 10 years ago. He's close to God.
Well, a lot of people in Silicon Valley think Steve was God. So there you go.
Close to God. Just set your damn alarm. And then as you're coming to the end of a meeting, have your alarm go off 5 minutes early and say, okay, we got to wrap up. Go walk down the hall, talk to your assistant, get a cup of coffee, go to the bathroom, and start your next meeting exactly on time. It's not that hard.
Awesome.
And by the way, when you do that stuff, investors notice, shareholders notice, customers notice, employees notice. When all of a sudden the little things matter. Business is so simple. We overcomplicate it.
Fucking A. Awesome. So maybe let's switch gears a little bit and maybe go to 800 Got Junk. Can you tell me that story, how you got involved, and then take me from 2 million to in excess of 100 million?
Sure. So I had built a couple companies before that. And then the founder, Brian, and I were in an organization called EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization. At the time, it was YEO. And we were in a forum together, and we would meet every month sharing business ideas. And he had, I think, 6 or 8 trucks and was doing around $1 million in revenue. And he kept grabbing ideas from me from what I'd done with College Pro Painters and what I'd done with Gerber Auto Collision and Boyd Auto Body. And then I had been building a private currency company 17 years ago, Bitcoin today, but 17 years ago, we had a private currency company that we sold. And I'd been helping him with all this stuff. And he kept looking at me going like, how do you know this stuff? I'm like, I don't know. I've just been doing it for so long. So then he asked me if I would coach him. No, he asked me if I would work for him. And I said, there's no way I would work for you. That would be like kissing my sister. And he had 12 employees, but he had this vision for what he wanted to do. At the time, it was called the Rubbish Boys. And he wanted to... Which
I thought was such a fun name.
It was, but rubbish didn't translate into the U.S.
No, I get the change was absolutely genius, but you can't, as a kid with a Scottish heritage, I can't help but love. Would you pick up your rubbish over there, eh?
Yeah, it works for us. And we read this book called the 22 Immutable Laws of Branding by Al Ries, and we really bought into it. So changed the name over to 1-800-GOT-JUNK. I came in and started coaching Brian and doing some work it was originally a 3-month contract, but I was going to bill by the hour. And I just love to work. So I was cranking out 17 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. And he was getting these invoices going, shit, like I can't afford you, but I can't afford not to have you. Can you just join? So I joined as the 14th employee. And when I left 6.5 years later, we had 3,100 employees system-wide. We went from 2 million to 106 million. We gave up no equity. We had no debt. We were profitable for every year, and we hit 59 out of 60 months goals. And
what I love about the business, I mean, I love all that. I love lots about the business. But for me, it sits in this context. You didn't write an algorithm. You didn't put people in space. You didn't invent some giant cure for I don't know what. You didn't do any of that stuff. It is the simplest fucking idea for a business. I mean, and I don't mean that pejoratively, right? This is a simple idea, or am I missing it?
Well, no. And people are like, well, where'd you come up with the idea? It was like, well, there were 17,000 independent junk businesses when we started already. Like, it wasn't an idea. There were 17,000 other people doing it, but no one had branded it. No one had professionalized it. I got Brian to really increase our prices by 50%. Really, about the month after I joined, we raised our prices 50%. I just followed the Starbucks model of a premium price, premium service. But I said, we can't offer everything that we want to at this low price. And he's like, we'll be so much more than our competitors. I'm like, no, they'll follow us. And sure enough, our competitors did. But we could deliver the value. We could deliver the quality focus areas. And we just sold people on the dream. And we always knew that culture was critical. Like I said, that, it has to be a little bit more than a business, a little bit less than a religion. It has to be in that zone of a cult. And if we can create that,
it felt very culty looking at it from the outside, because I this business caught my eye, and I want to say I had a conversation with Brian. Oh fuck! It would have been easily 10 years ago. Anyway, I have been fascinated by this, because you take a simple thing like this that isn't as obvious as anything you could imagine once you see it up and running, and you go like, fuck, like it's so there, but it was so missing. I just love that. And the other thing is, do you remember in the beginning you guys saying you wanted to be the FedEx of junk? Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course.
Where did that come from?
We tried to come up with a moniker that people could understand. So our BHAG was building a world-class culture. It was something that we believed that on a world-class level that we could compete against every other company culture. But we needed to have a vision statement, a moniker that people could understand. So the FedEx of junk, people would get. We were originally going to go with the Starbucks of junk, but Starbucks didn't have wheels and didn't drive around, and FedEx was clean. We liked them more than UPS because their quality was better, their service was better. UPS didn't have the standards in Canada, at least at the time, and the brown just didn't work for us, the branding color, when we were doing blue and green. I actually wanted the FedEx colors. I was really pushing for red, white, and blue, and Brian was like, no, we got to go green and blue. I'm like, what are you talking about? And this was back in 2000. And he was right, because he picked the two earth recycling colors. It was just starting to get motion back then.
Interesting. And did anybody from FedEx ever call you guys?
No, but we ended up getting our logo on the sides of Starbucks cups, or our company name on the sides of Starbucks cups one year. Back in 2003, they had a program called The Way I See It. And it was quotes from famous people. And then, Yo-Yo Ma, the cellist, or some basketball player. And so we created this like pretty lame quote that Brian just kind of made up on the fly, that, something like, you are what you can't let go of. And they were going to say just Brian Scudamore, entrepreneur. And he's like, well, that won't make any sense. And the girl who had the vision for it, we had this vision wall in our office called the Can You Imagine wall. And hers was 1-800-GOT-JUNK on the sides of Starbucks cups. That was one of about 50 things up on the wall. And so she sent them a photo of it, and Howard Schultz signed off on it personally, that he would allow the name 1-800-GOT-JUNK to be there with Brian's name. So we were literally on 7 million cups North America wide for free.
Wow.
I got a photo of it literally on my desktop. I just saw it again the other day.
And do you still have some of the cups, I hope?
I don't know. I don't.
Oh, no.
Brian does, because I think we put a couple of them into some glass cases, and I know he's been really, really good over the years at keeping the memorabilia.
Yeah.
I don't have any. Just, we were doing so much.
Sure.
We were on
I know.
We were on Dr. Phil. Like, we were getting so much press, 5,200 stories in the 6 years that I was there building, and we built the in-house PR team with no experience. We didn't really keep that stuff because we were getting it so often.
So let's go there for a second.
Sure.
In-house PR with no experience.
No.
And really, there's a lot of things I say that I probably have no business saying, but on this one, as a 3-time public company CMO, I get to say this: fucking legendary PR results for a company that just shows up at your house and takes excess garbage to the dump. I mean, you guys were not curing cancer.
No, there was nothing remarkable. So I learned this back at College Pro Painters, and the concept was this. This is, again, business is simple. We overcomplicate everything. Every single morning, every journalist wakes up and thinks, what the fuck am I going to write about today? And they're all sitting at their computer right now. Now, this was 17 years ago. So we would literally come up with a couple of angles, come up with 4 or 5 bullet points to support each angle, and we would pick up the phone and call the journalists. Now, everybody else was emailing them. Today, journalists get hundreds and hundreds of email pitches. No one ever phones them except their mom. So when the phone rings, they go, I don't know who that is. Hello? And we go, hi, do you have 2 minutes? I think I have a good story for you. And they go, sure, because I got nothing else to write about. And they literally listen to your pitch.
And you think that's still true today, Cameron?
I talked to a PR firm literally yesterday, who's doing some stuff for me on the side. And that's all they're doing is pitching over the phone and using send out cards because they're cutting through all the clutter of the hundreds and hundreds of email pitches. I had the editor-in-chief from Inc. magazine say I'm one of the rare individuals who actually understands the mass press because they're all sitting at their desk. They're human beings.
Yeah.
Now they'll say, don't pitch me. Like it'll be on Cision and media outlets. Don't pitch us. Don't phone us. But guess what? It's a fucking phone call. You're going to forget who I was in 6 weeks if you hate me anyway. And I'll call you in 3 months. So it's simple. And if you offer them a favor, because they're trying to write a story, I'm not saying write about me. I'm saying I think I have a good story for you. They're looking for a good story. They're sitting going.
And so what story ideas would you at 1-800-GOT-JUNK be pitching to?
We had five core stories that we pitched for 5 years.
Okay.
We had the cash from trash story. So how you made cash from garbage, right? From garbage to gold, from trash to cash.
So that's the successful franchisee story.
That's the successful. And it was about the franchisee. So we could do it in all the markets, or it was about Brian and the head office, right? So
right. And as every new franchise opened, you could go to the Santa Cruz Sentinel and pitch them on Christopher and Jimmy's new 800 junk franchise, right?
There were probably 60 media outlets in Santa Cruz. So we would pitch the radio, TV, media, dailies, the weeklies.
And you guys would be doing the pitching for me as the franchise owner in Santa Cruz.
Correct. And we had the ad.
Because you didn't want to leave it up to my PR skills.
Correct. I was one.
And so you got my ass on, Santa Cruz, KSDB, TV, and all that shit.
And then we trained you. We trained you how to say, what to wear, where to stand for your trucks to get photos. We trained them on all that. And we did this with a 6-person team that I built from scratch who had no PR experience. I wanted salespeople who liked to cold call, were good at telemarketing, and could write okay, but they weren't journalists. You don't want to do the journalist job. You just want to be able to communicate clearly.
So you hired fucking inside salespeople to do PR.
25-year-old girl salespeople who love to sell, who could handle rejection. Because a marketing person, as soon as they get no, they're like, oh, fuck, he said no. And then they start emailing all day. A salesperson's like, shit, I know I got the right number because he said no to me. I'm going to call him in a week when he forgets who I was.
I have never heard this before, Cameron. This is a tactical
fucking thing. Everybody's out there banging on a window and they're hiring PR firms like Sabbath at $50,000 a month. For $4,000, you can hire an in-house person all year that reports to your VP of sales, not VP of marketing. Everyone's like a fly trying to bang against the window. There's a door right here. It's open. Go out the door.
You know what you just gave me. I have no desire to do any of this stuff, but if I had a desire to be entrepreneurial in the PR space,
start a cold calling PR firm.
Yeah, I would hire I get the whole thing. I know exactly what you're talking about. I get it. It's genius. It's absolute genius, Cameron.
And we do.
What a wickedly powerful fucking tactical move.
I taught this to, do you know grasshopper.com?
I do not.
So grasshopper.com, I taught them. I taught Achievers, I Love Rewards, Nurse Next Door, Media Temple, Eye Contacts. I taught all of them their press strategies of picking up the phone. And it's so simple when you avoid the mass. Now you can still do your press outreach and your news wires and all that other shit that is good, but there's nothing better than picking up the phone. Like I pitched the publisher of Forbes magazine, Rich Carlgard, from stage. I'm in the middle of a talk and I saw him in the audience. I went, Rich, can I talk to you after my event? I think I have a good story for you. And he said, yes. I went over and talked to him and boom, 3 months later, I'm in the print edition of Forbes magazine, a full page article about Vivid Visions. Every day.
You're fucking awesome, Cameron. I love that.
They're just looking for something. I'm helping them. They need help. They need a new story. I couldn't come up with a new story idea every day. I'd go crazy.
I love it. It's fucking genius. So you said you had 5 themes. So one of them was trash to cash. What were the other 4 out of curiosity?
Overcoming adversity. So it's, the failures, the stress stories, the bipolars, any kind of overcoming adversity stuff.
And that was for you guys as the mothership company as well as for the franchisees?
Yes.
Yeah, same move.
Same move. Next one was leveraging technology. It was any technology tools that we could use to leverage our growth. Again,
corporate and franchise.
A little less on the franchise on that one.
Fair enough.
Then the next one was culture and building the world-class culture, again, for franchise and for corporate. And then the last would be, systems that the people don't fail, systems fail. So it was all the stuff around systems that we were putting in place that could be replicatable by other companies.
So a lot of that great old Michael Gerber shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, God bless him.
Those same stuff, different times.
And actually, you guys are. Does he use you as an example of like his vision executed like no other?
Michael Gerber walked into our office in 2003 or 4, and Brian and I met him at the front door on the second floor. And Michael looked at us and looked around. He goes, "Holy shit!" He goes, "I've never seen companies doing what I tell them to do." I'm like, "Well, you told us to do it. Like it was in your book. Why would we not do this?"
And is that really how it was for you? You guys read the book, said that's fucking awesome, and we're going to do that. Is that?
Yeah, Brian read it first, and then Brian handed it to me and said, "Let's do this. And plus we were a franchise company, so putting all the systems in place as if you're going to franchise is natural when you're franchising.
Yeah, of course.
But we believed in a no blame environment. We believed in this: people don't fail, systems fail. So we just created that, and we took the experts like Pat Lencioni and Jim Collins and Vern Harnish and Michael Gerber, and we didn't read the other 9,000 books, but we literally took their core stuff and put it deep into the company. And then we took the stuff that I had from College Pro and from Boyd, and we put it deep into the company. And we kept it simple.
And obviously, I don't know Brian, but I have to imagine, Cameron, that he was a huge part of creating and setting the tone for the sort of fun, playful culture.
Brian, he was totally the fun, playful culture. We used to call him the odd gee shucks guy. He would come in like, because he's so random and so silly and so entrepreneurial that he'd come in wearing like a pimp outfit one day. We're like, "What are you doing? Like, we're fucking in the middle of this planning meeting." He was just quirky and silly, and it was great, and it was disruptive, but it was from the heart, and it was amazing.
And what's so cool about that is, like, who said business wasn't fun? Like, fuck you, it's fun.
It's amazing if you let it, right?
Right? Like, fuck you, it's fun. God, I never understood this whole heavy and significant, like, business can feel so heavy, but when it's light, man, shit's different.
Well, it's light if you keep it simple. If you overcomplicate it and get a whole bunch of MBAs trying to throw pivot tables and spreadsheets at you, then it gets complicated. But if you keep it simple and remember God and grandmother rules, right? Just do it as if it's in front of God and grandmother, then everything gets easy.
So
I'll give you an example on customer service. We don't need customer service departments. We need to fix our products, fix our service, underset expectations with clients and over deliver, and then get way better FAQs on our website so they can solve their own problems. You can get rid of your entire customer service department with just those 4 things.
Well, and now with AI, it should turbo that.
Big time.
Yeah. Now, sort of poking around you as a COO, a lot of, once you get to the C-suite in business, or once you become an entrepreneur with even a mildly successful business, it generally strengthens one's ego. And, sometimes that can be a very positive thing. I think having a strong ego really does make a difference. And of course, there's some line where the ego can get the better of all of us, God knows, myself included. My question is, when you identify in your head as a COO, you say, I actually don't want to be the CEO. I want to be the COO. And that means a thing to me. And I view COO as a career, COO as a role, as a job. I'm going to train for that job. It's not a holding spot for CEO.
Right.
What kind of ego do you need to have to land there?
Well, I'm pretty insecure. I know I probably don't come off that way with confidence, but it's confidence on my content. But I wake up every morning still feeling like this kid from a small town in Northern Ontario, wondering how the fuck I got here. Knowing I've worked hard, but I've been lucky and dots have connected. So I don't have the need to be the CEO. I want to build stuff, and I see the CEOs banging their head on the wall. I'm like, stop, let's go out the door. Like, I just see the path of least resistance, and it feels good to help them with that. I think that's part of it, is just, you can do some pretty amazing things doing it too, right? And you can get paid really well doing it, and you can,
Well, and I don't know outside of the tech world, but people often say to me that the CMO job is the hardest job to fill in tech. And I get why they would say that. It's a hard job to fill for sure, because the spec is gigantic. It sort of looks like, essentially Steve Jobs is what people are looking for. But the other one that I would think would be even harder would be COO, especially professional COO, not CEO in waiting, or we're going to put you in the COO job and you and the CEO are going to transition over a 2-year period. So none of that. You're a fucking COO. That's the end. That's the pot at the end of the rainbow.
Here's why it's hard. And Harvard wrote an article, Harvard Business Review wrote an article about 10 years ago called The Misunderstood Role of the COO. And they lined up 7 distinct types of COOs. So you could have one who's very outward facing, one who's inward facing, one who's process and engineering focused, one who's sales marketing, one who's product. So it's the yin and yang. So whatever the CEO doesn't love or isn't good at, get the COO who's really good at it and loves that shit. Brian liked IT and he liked finance, and I liked operations, execution, culture, meetings, the call center. Like, I liked running the business. So we were both culturally very similar, and we trusted each other implicitly. So you just have to find that culture fit, but someone who loves doing all the stuff you don't.
And it's so fascinating you say that, Cameron, because as you're talking, I'm thinking back, and I'm that outwardly facing, loud, creative, strategery kind of a guy, and I'm not the ops day-to-day, trains run on time guy. And so my teams, the people who were my direct reports, were always the opposite of me. And it took a lot of them to contain me, if you know what I mean. And then I also think about it, though, as a 3-time CMO who actually decided I don't want to be a CEO, but how I tried to partner with the CEOs. And interestingly, I had 2 CEOs who were more inwardly facing, or certainly more introverted, and pushing them out actually took a little bit of work. And in one case, at Scient with Bob Howe, Bob was an extraordinary strategic thinker, probably the best one I ever knew. I mean, a mind that was an amazing place to hang out with, or hang out in, or however you want to think about it. And he was an incredible public speaker, amazingly charismatic, and fuck smart. And yet somehow he was so big, there was room for a bunch of us. And so we could have, Mary Meeker, when she was still at Morgan Stanley, called the Scient management team Murderers Row. We could have Murderers Row because Bob was huge, but somehow his bigness made room for other very big people, myself included. And so it's interesting how you can meet that yin and yang, even with an overlap in capabilities, or a 180 difference in capabilities, as long as you find that way to meet.
For sure. And that's exactly what it is. And I think that's where that personality trait of just wanting to make the CEO iconic and wanting to build the brand is more important than leveraging your own career. Your career will come, but if you focus on the brand first. When I go in, I do speaking events inside of big companies to teach them all of this stuff. And when they're kind of signing me up to come in and speak, they're not really sure what they're doing. They know they're supposed to, but they're not kind of sure what's coming. And all of a sudden they walk out going, fuck, we've been overcomplicating the shit out of this stuff. Like, it's just not that difficult.
Now, I can imagine some, very sophisticated, high IQ ding-dong entrepreneurs, VCs, and iBankers and the like in Silicon Valley going, the fuck, you don't get it, man. Business is fucking complicated. There's the technology and all the carbon-dingulation, and you grew up in fucking Sudbury, Canada, and you don't have a degree from, super ding-dong college, insert name here, and this shit really is complicated, and you're just a fucking hick from the sticks.
Thank God. Because you know what, when you actually just throw a couple things out there, like, they get it at the intuitive level that, the reason that meetings suck is because nobody's been trained. They go, yeah, you're right. You're fucking right. And then they go like, it's not about any certain app or technology. It's like, no one actually knows how to show up at a meeting and participate. And I don't in finance, right? So I don't get into the complicated stuff anyway. I get into all the stuff that people overcomplicate when they shouldn't. People aren't complicated. Hire great people, get rid of bad people. Right? Do you have anybody that you know shouldn't be there? Yes, fire them. I can't. Bullshit. What if they got hit by a car today? You'd have to replace them. You're right. What would you do to replace them? I'd do this. Great. Fire them. Go do those things.
Why don't we do that? Why do we let, in our book, Play Bigger, we talk about getting rid of Zed. We named him Zed after the character in Pulp Fiction. But we said that on every management team, there's a Zed that is trying to essentially unhook the strategy and up to nefarious shit and is always just fucking, just won't get with the program. There's always one, right? When there's any big change initiative going on, whatever it is. In this case, we're talking in the context of category design. And we said, look, Zed needs to be dead. You need to fucking fire Zed because the longer Zed exists, A, he'll do damage, and B, it just shows you're willing to tolerate this bullshit, and everybody knows it's bullshit. And if you're willing to tolerate that bullshit, who knows what else you'll tolerate? Is that sort of the path?
Yeah. Like, again, most people don't fire Zed because they create a lot of excuses for themselves to give them reasons not to make the tough decisions. So I've said for years that A players are your racehorses, B players are your workhorses, and C players have to go to the glue factory. So you just put them through a simple system to show.
So we can have B players. Is that okay?
B players are your workhorses. They're going to grind stuff out. It's impossible to think.
It's funny because in Silicon Valley, everybody says we only hire A players.
Bullshit. When you actually run through the numbers, they're hiring a lot of Bs. There's just not that many A's there.
Oh, Cameron, I love you.
An A player is, God forbid they ever quit. For the money I'm paying and the results that we're getting, God forbid they ever quit. Those are your pure A's. Those are the people you handcuff to your company. And you don't just handcuff them with a golden handcuff program. You got to understand what's the one or two things that really satisfy that individual and give them that.
Fuck, Cameron, you're really good, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love this shit. I really like it.
You're really, really good. There's a lot of people who do what you do now, but there's not a lot of people who do what you did then.
I don't.
You know what I mean? Look, I'll just tell you, as a podcaster now, we seem to just get hit all the time from these author, guru, speaker types, right? There's a billion of them. I mean, I guess I wasn't paying attention, but like in the last 20 years, it went from like, we used to be Zig Ziglar, Tom Peters, right. A couple of Jack Canfield, a few guys, right? And now there's like a billion. But the thing I find interesting is a lot of them, when they pitch, that success secrets they're going to fucking share come from? What they learned turning themselves into a fucking speaker author.
Yeah.
And I just look at that and look, maybe somebody's going to convince me I'm wrong, but I just look at that and go, I'm not interested in fucking that. I'm interested in learning from somebody who fucking did something and now is sharing their insights from the shit they learned from doing what they did, not some fuck person who just decided to pretend to be a fuck guru and somebody bought their book.
Well, and you don't find a lot of the gurus actually sharing their vulnerabilities and what they sucked at or what they fucked up as well. And I think that's important too, because it's so easy to stand there and talk about all the good things, but what about the mistakes that you made that were truly avoidable, that you really fucked up on, that you learned from, right? And can you share those to really actually help accelerate others? Because it is that same thing of my grandfather always said, work hard, work hard, work hard. And I'm like, fuck, I was cursed, because it's not about working hard. It's working smart. That fly is working hard, trying to get out the window, but working smart is going, oh, there's a door. Let's go out the door.
It's so funny how we value hard work. It's just so ingrained. And I try to be a student of languaging, and in particular, how language changes thinking and how thinking changes behavior and how behavior ultimately changes outcomes, right? And so a simple example for me is when I was a kid, the people who lived on the street were called bums and winos, and today they're called homeless people.
Yeah.
And that that Frodo, as we call them in our book, changes actual behavior in society, right?
Sure.
And so to your point, hard work. Well, fuck, who wants to do hard work?
Nobody.
Right.
Right. We should be making it easy for them. We should be aligning them. We should be, like you said, you don't. I was asked by Fortune magazine years ago, how do you motivate employees? And I said, I don't. I hire motivated people. Like when you wake up, two daily accountability partners. I have a business accountability partner that I set my daily business goals with.
You should do like a spoken word album. I'm serious. You should do a spoken word album that just has these fucking great Cameron Scooby snacks in them. They could just be 30 seconds, right. And you could do a whole quote unquote record of them. It would be fucking awesome.
I'll see if I can pull them together.
Yeah.
You should.
So, absolutely outrageous. Now, you started working young. You were an entrepreneur very young.
Yeah, I was.
What do you consider your first entrepreneurial endeavor?
I was 7 years old. My dad was an entrepreneur, and both my grandfathers were entrepreneurs. I actually covered this. I did a talk.
Was this the cans story?
The cans?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, not cans, hangers.
Coat hangers. Yeah, I actually talk about this in my TED Talk.
I know, I saw your TED Talk. Your TED Talk is fucking genius.
Thank you.
I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I really believe we should teach entrepreneurship.
Yeah, well, mine, if you identify that there's certain people that have entrepreneurial traits, typically they're ADD, bipolar, and on the spectrum for Tourette's, are very entrepreneurial traits.
Well, tell me about bipolar. I get the ADD and dyslexia and all that because I got it. But why do you say bipolar is a trait for entrepreneurship?
Well, it's true. The bipolar disorder is nicknamed by the medical community as the CEO disease.
It's so funny that you say that because, look, here's the truth. Most CEOs I've ever met are fuck crazy.
Right.
Not a little, like a lot.
So the medical community thinks they're wrong. Like there's 11 traits that describe bipolar disorder. And I read these out to groups of entrepreneurs all the time. And I'll say, stand up when you hear 5 of them. And I'll get 95% of the room standing by 6 or 7 and almost 100% by 11.
Can you run me through them?
Sure. I read the same list of traits to a group of actuaries and no one was standing. 350 people. It's supposed to be different. But the medical community and the school system has fucked us up by saying medicate them. You should not medicate our traits. Our traits are our unique abilities. The mania of bipolar is why people follow us. Stress and depression is just us fucking self-correcting. And you know what? You medicate that out of Steve Jobs and Henry Ford and Richard Branson and Ted Turner and Jim Clark and Jim Barksdale, like all people that were bipolar, they wouldn't.
They believe Picasso. They believe Einstein. I mean, it's a long fucking list.
Yeah. So here's the 11 traits of bipolar disorder from the medical community. Now let's pretend I'm asking you, are you entrepreneurial? Here's 11 traits of entrepreneurs. Are you often filled with energy? Did your mind get flooded with ideas? Are you driven? Are you restless? Are you unable to keep still? That's 5. You often work on little sleep. Do you get euphoric? Do you get easily irritated by minor obstacles? Do you burn out periodically? Do you act out sexually, which would be flirting? Do you feel persecuted by those who do not accept your vision? Now, when you read those traits to entrepreneurs, CEOs, they're going to be saying yes to between 9 and 11 of those traits. If you say yes to
how many of those were again?
11.
Yeah, so I think there was either 1 or 2 no's and maybe 1 or 2 iffies, but I would be around 9, I would guess.
Yeah, I'm 11 for 11. I'm 17 of the 18 on attention deficit disorder.
So that is the medical community's definition of bipolar disorder.
Yeah, that's how I met the CEO of Sprint. Is I diagnosed him on a flight with having Tourette's, being bipolar, and ADD, and I met Marcelo Plure on a flight. And that's how I started coaching his second in command. He's like, how do you know this? I'm like, I know entrepreneurs better than they do. So,
fuck, that is so fucking great.
But the point is, that's what makes us us. And my TED Talk was about when you see those traits, don't change the kid, don't medicate the kid, fucking raise them up and go, shit, you're amazing. You should be entrepreneurial. Let's teach you some entrepreneurial skills to match your behavioral traits.
So man, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you described my entire educational experience and you were so right. What was it? There's part of your talk where you were talking about how they were trying to ram you on one thing you were not good at. Oh, French. So you were an unbelievable public speaker and killing it on that, obviously, and you sucked at French, and the education system shoved French up your ass and did nothing to expand on your capability and talent in speaking. Am I remembering that right?
You're exactly right. I was winning citywide speaking competitions in grade school. And, look what I do today. I've done paid speaking events in 26 countries on 5 continents. So I was clearly good at speaking at a young age.
Just saying.
Right?
Just saying.
And what they wanted me to do was memorize French and conjugate verbs. So I had to go to a French tutor twice a week. And I don't even like French people very much now because
hey, now, I have a lot of French friends being from Montreal.
Also say "comment bébé." That's all I can say now.
And you grew up in Sudbury, did you not?
I did, yeah.
Est-ce qu'il y a beaucoup de Français à Sudbury ou quoi?
I don't get that. I don't.
There's French in Sudbury. I mean, it's
a lot of French. Probably.
Yeah.
I dated a French girl, Janine Lacoste.
Oh, those French ladies. How old were you the first time you saw the Big Nickel?
Well, I grew up there, so 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like for you growing up in Northern Ontario?
I liked it a lot. It was a small town, 80,000 people. We lived on a lake. We had...
What was the name of the lake?
Ramsey Lake. It's the big one.
It's the big one, yeah. No. So here's my disclosure. My first wife, Christine, is from Sudbury.
What's your last name?
Campbell.
Oh my God. I met Christine Campbell at my TED conference, my first TED conference in 2010. She lives in the Bay Area and runs a clothing store.
Yeah, she's my ex-wife.
I met her at TED 7 years ago. I hope you guys still get along. She's a great girl. She went to LaSalle High School.
She did.
And I lived in New Sudbury, and she knows some really good friends of mine from back then. But I met your ex-wife 7 or 8 years ago at my very first main stage TED conference.
Oh, wow. How funny is that? Yeah, she's been going to TED for a long time. I actually went way back in the 90s, and I went a couple times. The conferences are not my thing. But anyway, how funny is that?
That's really funny. Like out of 80,000 people, yeah, I've stayed in touch like briefly, like once an email every year.
Yeah. Well, she's an extraordinary woman, and I'm really glad. I'm really proud of both of us to say that we're still good friends. And
great girl. Say hi to her for me.
I will. Actually, I owe her a phone call. It's been too long, and it's probably on me because it's always on me.
Whole world, for sure.
How cool! So yeah, so I spent a lot of time there. I remember Ramsey Lake well, and I forget the name now. If you said it, I would remember her dad's golf club and. Yeah, the Idlewild. That's right. We got married there.
Oh, did you? I worked there for years.
No way.
One of my very first entrepreneurial lessons.
This is a ridiculous conversation, Cameron.
Yeah, one of my first entrepreneurial lessons, I was about 15 years old, and my dad brought me over to the golf club, and it was noon, 12 o'clock, and he showed me everybody. He's like, this guy owns a car dealership, this guy owns this business, this guy owns this business. And then we went and played 18 holes, and we finished. We're sitting up on the balcony overlooking the 19th green because Idlewild had a 19th hole for betting. And we're looking over the 19th green, and I'm eating my fries and gravy and drinking my cherry Coke. And my dad said, this guy coming in at 5 o'clock is a doctor, and he's a teacher, and he's a lawyer, and he works for this company. He said, do you get the lesson? I said, yeah, if you own your own business, you control your time, because everybody who owned their own company was playing golf in the middle of the day. And that was a huge, huge, huge point for me, right, of why I want to do what I do today.
Wow. And you got that at Idlewild?
Idlewild Golf Club.
In Sudbury, Ontario, Canada.
One of my other entrepreneurial lessons I talk in my TED Talk was sitting on the 13th hole at the Idlewild, and I would haul golf.
I saw this, or I heard this, but I didn't realize that's where it was, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
So remind me of this story.
So all of my friends would caddy, and they would be paid $5 an hour to caddy. So they'd make $20. I'm like, that's like an hourly wage. That sucks. If you're good, you get 22. If you're bad, you get 20. Like there's no leverage. So there's this one.
Wait a minute. How old are you when you're figuring this no leverage problem in your head?
13, 14. So there's this one.
There's an evil genius in the making here, kids.
There's this one hole on the golf course it was the 13th hole, and had a big hill on it, and everyone hated it. Like every member hated it, and they'd like slug their golf club. So I decided I'd put a lawn chair at the bottom of the hill, and I would wait for the next foursome to come over, and I'd say, hey, do you want me to run your golf bag up to the top for tips? And they'd say, sure. And I'd run the bag up to the top of the hill, and they'd be like, God, here's $1 or here's $2. So I'd do like 2 bags per foursome, and after a couple hours, I'd make $60 and I'd go back in and my friends would be finishing their foursome making 20 and I made 60 and that was it. I'd go swimming in the pond on the first hole and I'd pick up golf balls and I'd package them up into groups of 3 and I sold the pinnacles and DDHs for $1 and I sold the others for 50 cents and I grabbed all the shitty ones and bundled them up in bags and I sold them as shag balls. All entrepreneurial things that when you get your kids doing that stuff, those lessons never leave.
Yeah. But at 13, you were already a relatively sophisticated entrepreneur. I mean, you started you were a paper boy. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah. And then I got in trouble when I was doing that because I hired my brother to deliver papers and I realized that I could make money collecting the tips. So I got him to deliver the papers and I went to collect the money from the customers every week and I got the tips and I paid him the hourly wage. My dad gave me shit.
That story, because I think about how many newspapers. So I delivered so many fucking newspapers, and we had the Montreal Gazette gave us these shitty fucking bags, yeah. and I would have these bruise marks on my shoulders. Particularly with our big paper was the Saturday paper. Sure. Anyway, I was never smart enough to figure that fucking out. I could have paid any one of my idiot friends, $4 an hour back then or whatever, and they would have thought they died and went to heaven.
They all would have done it, right?
They all would have done it. But I did both things. You were way fucking smarter than me.
So management is getting results through people. And if you're going to build a company, it doesn't mean you have to do the work. You got to get someone to do the work. And if the most profitable work is anyway, so that was just a lesson. So coat hangers. One of my first business ventures that I remember, I was about 7 years old.
Is this the coat hanger business?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I love this. Tell me.
I would have been 7 because I was in grade 2, maybe 8, because we moved when I was in grade 2. So I was in Winnipeg, Canada. And I remember going into a dry cleaner and seeing that if you could recycle your coat hangers and they would pay you like a penny per coat hanger or 2 pennies per coat hanger. And my mom would bring in coat hangers and she would get, 24 cents and whatever. And that was a big deal back then was they recycled everything. We didn't have credit cards. So you lived with the money you had and you found ways to make it. So I got the Yellow Pages, which was that big old book that you'd get phone numbers from.
I remember it. That was my first real business, telemarketing my ass out of the Yellow Pages.
And then I grabbed the phone that had the old cord on it, which would now be a remote phone. But I grabbed the cord and I pulled it into my bedroom and closed the door. And I started phoning phoning all the dry cleaners. And my mom came into my room and she said, "What are you doing?" And I'd written down the prices beside each dry cleaner's phone number. 2 cents, 3 cents, 2 cents, 3 cents. And then I got one of them to agree to pay me 3.5 cents per coat hanger. And I kept saying, "I want more than 3." And he goes, "I can't give you 4. And I said, "How about 3.5? He goes, "Well, how are you going to pay me 3.5? I said, "I'll give you 2 coat hangers. You give me 7 cents. He goes, "Okay." So I got him up to 3.5 cents a coat.
And wait a minute, remind me again, Cameron, how old you are with this went down?
I was
7
or 8. So I understood the hustle and I understood pricing but I didn't have any coat hangers. So I went out into the neighborhood and I went door to door and I knocked on their doors and I said, "Hi, do you have any coat hangers?" And they said, "Sure. What are you doing with them?" And I said, "I'm selling them to the dry cleaning stores." They're all like, "You're the cutest thing ever." And they'd hand me handfuls of them. I remember one woman taking.
So there's no adult when you 7-year-old cute little Cameron shows up and says this. There's no adult that doesn't go, "That is the greatest thing I've ever heard a kid say."
Exactly. And you know what? It's just as safe as back then as it was today. Kids could go out today going door to door. They'd just get off their ass and parents wouldn't hyper or helicopter parent them. So anyway, I went and collected all these coat hangers. My mom came in and she said, "Well, where are you going to get all the coat hangers from?" And I opened my closet door and I showed her, and then I burst into tears because I'd been lying to her. I kept telling her I was going out to play with my friends, and what I was doing was going out and getting coat hangers from all the neighbors. So she put them all into a garbage bag, and we drove off to the dry cleaner, and I got, I don't know, $12 or something, or $6. It wasn't a business that I was going to run forever, but at 7 years old, that was a lot of money in 72.
Yeah. I mean, you could buy a lot of hockey cards, right?
A lot of hockey cards. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You could maybe get an original Gordie Howe.
10 cents a pack. Yeah. All those things are what I did as a kid, that those entrepreneurial ideas stuck.
So if we go back for a sec, Cameron, to, teach entrepreneurship, and we go back to the 11 attributes of psychopaths, or what are the 11 attributes of what?
I call the 11 traits of bipolar disorder.
Bipolar, okay.
Yeah.
So if we were to then, if we put our educator hat on, I'm trying to map this in my mind, identify kids that exhibit, you said 5 of the 11 attributes.
Well, if you see children that are ADD and that are bipolar, or that are on the spectrum for Tourette's, which is thinking out loud is on the spectrum for Tourette's, those are very entrepreneurial traits.
So is the fact that my internal monologue goes external, is that what that is?
That's correct. It's exactly what it is.
I thought Tourette's was just, screaming fuck shit and all sorts of horrible.
So that's like being suicidal because of the depression and bipolar, right? That's when you're very, very, very edge of the spectrum. But you can be bipolar without being suicidal or without jumping off a building because of mania. You can do bad business decisions, spending too much money, acquiring a company you can't really run, hiring somebody you shouldn't have been hiring. So
I'm just going to look up what's the actual definition of bipolar. Do you know?
Off the top of my head, no.
Let's see. So
there's Netscape, we're bipolar.
Definition. This is on the Government National Institute of Health website. Bipolar disorder definition, also known as manic depressive illness, is a brain disorder that causes unusual shifts in mood, energy, activity levels, and the ability to carry out day-to-day tasks. There are 4 basic types of bipolar, and they all involve clear changes in mood, energy, and activity levels. And then they break down what the 4 are. People with bipolar disorder experience periods of universally intense emotion, changes in sleep patterns and activity levels. It's everything you just said.
I know. And this is where you look at the classic entrepreneurs. Steve Jobs was diagnosed as hypomanic. So he could fly off the handle. He couldn't even see the box, let alone stay in the box. He didn't know the box existed, right? Those are clear signs of mania. And then the stress and depression is when he would swear at people and yell at people and get all extreme. It's impossible to stay high and excited and leading. Plus, as the CEO, the bipolar is really, it's magnified because of the stress. We can't tell our spouse what's really going on. You can't tell the board what's really going on. You can't tell your shareholders. You can't tell your C-level team.
You're nuts.
Right. And so
that's what you are, right? You're nuts. You do have to be nuts to do this.
Yeah. So that's why I teach this stuff even inside of companies, is I want senior teams and employees to know that the leader's normal and how to ride the wave with them. Right? And how to know what to do at each stage of the wave, because that roller coaster is never ending. But most people don't have it. So when the medical community sees a kid who's bipolar, they say medicate. Or when the medical community sees a kid who's ADD, they say medicate. Well, attention deficit disorder allows you to see everything. You see what's happening with your customers, suppliers, the market, the time. Everything that's going on, but you don't get so obsessed with it. And if you do get obsessed with something, you go right down the rabbit hole for 10 or 15 minutes until you get bored, and then you delegate. Well, in the entrepreneurial world, that's not a disease. That is a fucking superpower.
I'm just laughing. I mean, fucking hey, dude. It's like you're just shoving this mirror in my face. It's so...
But this is why I wanted my TED Talk. I need the TED Talk to... it's got a couple million views, and it's still on the main TED.
No, you're actually... I checked today. As of today, anyway, you're at over 1.5 million.
Yeah, it's on a few different spots. We're at 2 million in the total count on the TED Director site as well. And this point is, I need the medical community and the school system to stop medicating kids if they don't have a problem. We're not supposed to be like teachers. We're not supposed to be like engineers and doctors. They're different. Teachers don't.
But when I hear you say that, I go, yeah, you know what? That's absolutely right. Because I think about myself, and I'm 49. And how old are you, Cameron, if you don't mind asking?
51.
Yeah, okay. So we're the same age. So if you think about yourself going to school in the 70s growing up, if you and I are medicated, how different are our lives?
They don't exist. My life wouldn't be like this if I was medicated, because no one would be excited to follow me when I'm in the manic mode. I wouldn't be able to see the stuff that's happening around me to be completely aware. So I'd miss stuff. I wouldn't delegate as quickly because...
When were you diagnosed as dyslexic or any of this stuff, actually?
I actually won the Pinnacle Award. It's given to one individual a year for overcoming a learning disability. Bruce Jenner got it. Barbara Corcoran got it. I was awarded it 2 years ago by the International Dyslexic Association.
Wow.
When was I diagnosed?
Wow, that's very fucking cool. I'm not even sure what that means, but it sounds awesome.
It was a big honor. There was about 1,000 people in the audience that were all dyslexic, high functioning. So I've always struggled with learning issues, but I've always known that I also have strengths. The hard part is, and this is the biggest part, the school system has fucked me up. The school system actually has fucked up pretty much any human who didn't get 95% or more, because every day for 18 years, every fucking Monday to Friday for 18 years, I was told I was stupid or not as smart as the other people, or that I didn't quite fit in, or I had to work harder. And that literally...
Or you're just not applying yourself in math, Cameron.
And that destroys the person's psyche. And in a 70...
No shit.
You know, the next 70 years of your life, if I go from 20 to 90 years old, it takes a long fucking time to recover from that brainwashing of being told that I was stupid. Now, if you're in the top 5% of the class, you know you're smart because you're always at the top of the grades and you're always getting A+. I got 1 A in my entire school career.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever did, but maybe in the early grades. But here's the thing about that, though. So I agree with all of it. And as you talk about it, you know, the pain and suffering of it comes up into my chest. And while I would wish it on no one, it does make us who we are, right? Like, with all due modesty, I am a motherfucker at what I do. I mean, I have led an unbelievable life, and I am, you know, fucking incredibly proud of myself. I think the biggest problem for many of us is the person who brushes our teeth is not proud of the person in the mirror. And so I'm fucking proud of myself. And I look at all that shit, you know, like if you take the shit out, how, you know, what happens? Like, so if you don't have to overcome it. So on one hand, I have this weird thing, like I would never want any child that I knew to have to go through that shit. But at the same time, that shit is what makes me who I am. So it's a weird dichotomy. I don't know how to rationalize it in my head.
Yeah, I haven't thought through that one to know.
So, you know, when you say teach entrepreneurship, I'm like, yeah, let's do that.
Not to everybody. I'm not, my talk isn't to raise everyone as an entrepreneur, but it's to identify entrepreneurial traits and then teach those entrepreneurial traits.
Yes, I understand. Right? But
only 3% of the population should ever be an entrepreneur at best. The rest should be employees.
Is that, why do you get 3%?
Well, because somebody has to work for them.
So this is the division of labor math.
Yeah, and 86% of all statistics are made up on the spot 48% of the time.
Fuck. Why is it Canadians are always so fucking funny, right? If you notice how many famous and successful comedians in the United States are Canadians, we're fucking funny, aren't we?
We're a good group. I don't know. Maybe it's the air up here. Something's going on.
It has some combination of Molson and how's it going, and yeah.
Molson's in years.
You haven't had a Molson in years?
No, I just shift off of bad beer, I guess.
What do you like to drink now?
I guess I've migrated more to wine right now.
Anything particular you're focused on?
Just Pinots.
Yeah. Yeah, I like wine too. I like to drink a lot of different stuff, but
Scotch again now as well.
Yeah, Scotch, always on ready for Scotch. And I have absolutely fallen in love with these California IPAs. Oof.
Oh, really?
Oh, man, they are great beers. Yeah, I love them anyway.
I will try some.
Well, Cameron, is there anything else before we kick out of this one?
I don't know, man. Thank you. This was fun. Good.
You are one in a billion, buddy. You are really an extraordinary leader.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Really. And I had, consumed a bunch of your shit. I knew you were smart and I knew you were funny, but man, you are a master sensei.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's funny the stuff that we uncovered off of just a hour and a half call too. The fact that I actually have met your ex-wife who lives 5,000 miles away, and then Bix Bixon, who I know, and then
the Hal Elrod connection and all those guys
with him. Yeah, crazy connections.
Right, absolutely ridiculous how the universe works. And did Tom Schwab and Co. put us together?
I don't know. I'm not sure if it was Tom or if it was Jeremy at Get Featured, maybe, or maybe John Rulin.
Oh, fuck. There's somebody that I need to thank for introducing me to you that I am really fucking up right now.
Well, happy to do another one.
But if they know me, they'll know that it was an innocent mistake.
Exactly. It wasn't by design.
No, it's not personal. This has been outstanding. I mean, all the connections between us are bizarre. But even if I hack those to the side, Cameron, just your mind is a great place to hang out.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It was a super fun conversation. Like we went to some neat spots. So
yeah, I would love to have you back when the time is right. So Legends and Losers is always a place you are welcome.
Thanks, man. No, I got a lot more content we never even touched on. So there's some good stuff.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it when you have time in the next couple months.
Can I leave us with one quick lesson?
Yeah, of course.
So it's Reagan and Gorbachev hanging out 30 years ago and trying to solve all the world's problems. And somebody keeps running into the room screaming and yelling, and Gorbachev says something, and Reagan hears over translation, "Remember rule number 6." And he says it 3 times throughout the day, "Remember rule number 6." And at the end of the all-day summit, Reagan turns to Gorbachev and he said, "I just need to know one thing, like what's rule number 6? And Gorbachev laughs and he says, "Rule number 6 is don't take yourself so fucking seriously." And then Reagan said, "What are the first 5 lessons?" And Gorbachev said, "There aren't any." And I think that's what we've all got to remember along this journey, as well as none of us are getting out of this alive. We may as well have fun along the way.
Amen and hallelujah. On that note, Cameron.
Christopher, thanks, buddy.
Thank you. And be legendary, as I know you will.
Thanks, man. You too.
This has been great.
Well, there he is. Thank you again, Cameron. What an outstanding dialogue. And, I got to tell you, podcasts are really the only way I know of to experience that kind of dialogue with that kind of leader. If there's somebody in your life who you think would love this episode, why not share it with them now? And I would also ask you to be a podcast legend. Introduce 2 people you love to 2 podcasts you love. And we would love it if one of those would be Legends and Losers. I also want to share with you, we have a BHAG that we're working towards, a big, hairy, audacious goal. And if you're unfamiliar with a BHAG, it comes from Jim Collins' book, Built to Last. And we have a Legends and Losers Unlocked on BHAGs that you can check out as well. And so we set a big, hairy, audacious goal recently. We want to become a top 50 business show. And you've already made us a top business show on Podbean. We'd like to be a top 50 business show on iTunes. And we want to thank you so much for continuing to share Legends and Losers. We'd like to shout out to Claire Darling for your social media love and support and your Play Bigger LinkedIn post. Thank you, Claire. And to Bill Bateman for your awesome tweets. And once again, to Scott and Jessica, drink legendary at the legendary Liquor Barn. All right, I'm on tour with NetSuite, the Next Ready Business Tour, September 20, Denver, September 26th, Toronto, September 27th, New York, and November 9th, fingers crossed, we'll be in Miami. And so to request your VIP invitation to the Next Ready Business Tour, send email to blackhole@legendsandlosers.com, and we'll get you set up. I'll be giving a talk on category design, hanging out with my friends at NetSuite. In some cities, we have some legendary sports figures coming to spend some time with us, and a couple cocktails and some tasty snacks and food, and a generally good time. NetSuite Next Ready Business Tour, blackhole@legendsandlosers.com. Please subscribe on iTunes. And if you know somebody who you think would love podcasting, maybe take the time to help them get it set up, because it's a difficult thing for new people. So introduce those folks to some podcasts. We would like to thank the great state of Florida. Please donate what you can and help our hurricane victims. HarperCollins, Instant Classic Play Bigger, How Pirates, Dreamers, and Innovators Create and Dominate Markets. Equity Directory, connecting startups to the talent and resources they need to build legendary businesses. Project Relo, a nonprofit offering extraordinary leadership experiences with military's veterans. Check them out at projectrelo.org. The smash hit book by our friends and today's guest, Cameron Herold, with Hal Elrod, The Miracle Morning for Entrepreneurs, a great read. PursuingResults.com. If you want to produce a podcast, they do it for you. Produce legendary podcasts, and this one too. Interview Valet. If you are a thought leader and you want to share your thought leadership with the world, get your ass on some podcasts at interviewvalet.com. Paradigm Sport in Santa Cruz, California. Train like it matters. The Amazing Ziegler Show, the podcast that inspires your true performance with agent Kevin Miller. The Museum of Failure, the official museum of legends and losers, legends and blah, 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 in beautiful Sweden at museumoffailure.se. And please, again, don't forget the people of the Caribbean, Texas, and Florida. This oddcast is the sole property of the Legends and Losers Oddcast Network, and we would love it if you shared the shit out of it. All rights do remain disturbed. We must warn you that this oddcast is produced clearly in a studio that does contain nuts, but Legends and Losers is never tested on GMOs. Teach music, chill your nuts, listen to Soundgarden, introduce two people you love to two podcasts you love. Don't be lame and get out of the passing lane. Thank you, Dandy Candy. We love you. And hey, Colin, this oddcast really ties the room together, doesn't it? And today, our deepest apologies go to Greg Clark, Chief Executive Officer of Symantec. Sorry, Greg, we just ran out of time for you. That's it. Be legendary, folks, and we'll see you again soon on another episode of Legends and Losers.